Welcome to Pay It Forward, the series where strangers from around the world create a chain reaction of kindness based on a connection they make without seeing each other. Hey everyone, welcome back to Exposed in episode 10 of the Pay It Forward series. This is the season finale, which is so exciting.
We're so happy that you're here with us, and we really want to thank all of you for following us along in this journey in the past episodes of this season.
Today, we are really excited because not only are we going to be answering questions from you all, from the audience, but we're also going to be sharing some never before seen footage from our participants and from the previous episodes. So we really hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is from FRB Writes. And they asked, how did you find participants in all of these different countries? And was it hard to coordinate because of the different time zones?
Yeah, so I think actually the most fun part of this whole thing was finding our participants. We did not know what was going to happen. We didn't know if anyone would be interested in doing it. It was a bit of a time commitment for each person, so we also didn't know if they would want to drop off initially, make it halfway through, and then disappear. But I think a true testament to the experience that people had is that everyone was so excited to schedule the next call, and we never really had anyone, lose interest. And if anything, it was the opposite.
We found these participants in the beginning based off of just our networks. We're both very fortunate to have lived and or worked abroad and in different cities and all around the world. So we have networks that are pretty global, and we got to tap into that. And for the second question, in terms of time zone, yes, Hannah and I went through it sometimes, especially there was one in particular, I believe it was Australia and Sri Lanka. And we were both in New York at the time, and we were meeting at between the hours of 2 to 4 for multiple times just in the middle of the week. It was rough, and what we did
2 to 4 in the morning.
Oh, sorry. 2 to 4 in the morning. Yeah, in the middle of the freaking night. But it was all worth it because the conversations were amazing, and it turned out into the final product of what you guys got to see.
So the next question we have is, in what ways can we get involved? By LS Deb.
So now that we actually have this product that we've put out into the world, we would love for our viewers to help us to continue to evolve this idea. So that can be in the form of finding new participants, people that you might know, or even yourself who might be interested in doing this.
Where you can just fill out the form, which is always in our description box. Give us your information, tell us a little bit about why you want to be a participant, and then you can participate in the series as well.
This also can be sharing the episodes widely with your network, whether it's with your friend group, your family, your school, whatever company you work for.
We also would love to even be able to see other simulations of this happen across the world. So of course we're doing this in this sort of method, but if you find that this could be something useful to do within your own community, within your company, within any organization you're part of, as a way to break barriers and really connect with people, we would also love to see that. And please let us know if you do that, as we would love to see how it goes.
No, I love those, and I think I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Hannah just said. I'd say finally, we do have also a GoFundMe. Anything that you can and are willing to give is much appreciated and helps to create Exposed into what we hope one day and know one day it will become.
And you can find the link to that GoFundMe page in the description below.
So the next question is from seat@_the_table. And their question is, what is your goal for the Pay It Forward series? And that is a great question, because it's something Hannah and I have spent a lot of time thinking about, obviously. So the blurb, or the little saying that we say about the Pay It Forward series, is we're trying to create the longest chain of acts of kindness around the world. But beyond that, we're trying to create a space where people feel comfortable to talk, share, answer questions, learn about another person, learn about themselves, because these questions are rather they can be very challenging, to answer.
Yeah, and I would say something that we're going to continue to try and expose as much as possible is the idea of the act of kindness. So far, we've seen incredible acts of kindness being given. I think the takeaway there, and hopefully you took this away when you were watching, is that you're not distracted by the biases and stereotypes that you unconsciously have when meeting someone for the first time, or even how you're feeling about how you're coming across and how you look, is that you actually listen to people. And you can see by pretty much every participant's reaction that they were blown away and that they hit the nail on the head were the resounding phrases that came from that, which really was the part that blew us away. The act of kindness actually adds another layer. As we can see throughout the world, especially when we think about charity and giving and aid, is that typically it is something that's one-sided, and typically it happens from flowing from one group to another. And that's kind of perpetually shown in media, and also continues to perpetuate our own stereotypes and biases of who receives and who gives, and the power dynamics that can play into. And the idea of adding this act of kindness is to really show that anyone is capable of doing that, no matter how many material resources you might have.
And the final question that we're going to answer today is from Carolina Diaz _H. And they asked, how did we come up with this great idea? First of all, thank you for calling it a great idea. Really appreciate that. I'm glad you like it. But Hannah and I are very, very close friends. And we are with one another all the time. And we both lived in New York, and we would just hang out all the time, just talking. Like, how you always have that friend that you can just talk to about anything? That's my person. And so we were just talking about all the things that were happening post quarantine, or like 6-month lockdown of COVID, and just looking at how people were going about their life way differently depending on where they were in the world. How some people in the United States were like, we're not used to this type of suffering, but other people in other countries, they can handle it. And it was just this disconnection, if you will, and lack of empathy amongst people from all around the world, not recognizing that this is hard for everybody. And we thought that it spoke to, or was a microcosm of a larger problem in society, of people not understanding or taking the time to understand other people's situations. So we wanted to create a space that exposed why the name is so important to us. Different cultures gave people the opportunity to share their own experience, their own story, their own narrative, their way, and encourage empathy and human connection around the world.
And it's also been a great vehicle for Brittany and I to continue deepening our friendship. And we've been able through this to be able to have even more conversations about the world and what we can be able to do with this. And that really is something that we're hoping will happen as you view these episodes, that it becomes a vehicle for you and your friendships and your families and communities to have these sort of conversations, to feel open to have them. So yeah, it's kind of this all-encompassing idea. And a year and a half later after we started it, we're so unbelievably proud of it. And we're going to continue to try and disseminate it as much as possible, because we know how much it's already impacted us.
Okay, so that is done. That's it for the questions that we have. But please continue to write us, let us know. You can follow us on Instagram or subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and ask us questions. Everything is always in the description box, so that way you can stay connected with us. We want to talk to you. We want to know what y'all think. But now we're going to go to some of the never before seen footage, and you get to get a sneak peek.
Enjoy!
How about you? How do you think your friends would describe you?
What's hard about this question, part of me is I want to say how I want them to describe me,
Yeah, that's what I said, to be honest.
But I think that the majority of my friends would say I'm one of those people who's usually kind of always willing to go out and do something. If oh, Luke, oh shoot, I said my name. Participant 1 would like to go out and do this. I think people would say that.
Who has been your favorite teacher or professor?
My English teacher in sophomore year when I was in high school. His name was Mark Gugesberg, and I only had him for 1 year, and he probably doesn't know how much of an impact he had on my life, but I think he's my favorite teacher because he was very different from other teachers. He was very real. Even though, I haven't talked to him in years, it makes me amazed that I still think about him, and the amount of respect that I have for him is just so wildly high. And if I'm ever a teacher or a professor or that type of person to someone, I would want to have a similar impact. So that's mine.
That's great.
Who comes to mind for you?
So I think it comes to mind, I had economics teacher, and he was really great, and it just opened my mind to economics, and I think I chose him because I ended up studying economics. He was also a very kind person, who also I think taught me a lot of things of going up into the real world, just before graduating high school.
It's so huge how much of an impact one person can have just by making the introduction to a new topic good, And I feel like I've had similar experiences where it's one person that was the person to show me or introduce me to a new topic, but they did it so poorly that I never touched the topic again.
And then you end up hating it without really knowing what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a shame when that happens.
What do you wish you spent more time doing 5 years ago?
I'd say reading more books, because I've picked up that habit quite recently of trying to diversify my knowledge and just read about different things, even though they might not be directly in line with my career or my studies or whatever. And also trying to read about opinions that are contrary to my own, just to get that different perspective. So, the more you do it, the more you realize there's so much you don't know. Literally, there's so much you don't know, and it's a humbling process.
I think that I wish that 5 years ago I focused more on myself and on my mental health, on realizing what I wanted, and try to figure out if the people that surrounded me were the right people for me, the right friends. So probably I wish I were more aware of my life in general, and also my personality.
So let me ask the next question. What is one thing that you judge out of fear?
Oh,
that's a deep one.
One thing I judge out of fear. That's a difficult question. I think probably work-related stuff. Probably say higher ups thinking that they're all business sometimes.
Okay.
And probably the fear comes from just wanting to do a good job, I guess.
Yeah.
Makes sense. If it's one thing that I judge out of fear, is basically the unknown. I think that's one of the core human problems as well. We fear what we don't understand. So I'm aware of it, so I tend not to judge anything or anyone in advance. So I'm learning, I'm growing, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think, I didn't think of that one.
And I've recently been trying to set up a little bit of a business for myself. I have a lot of food allergies, a lot. I've been finding it very difficult when I go out with friends or we socialize to select places to eat at, because I mean, they don't cater for people with allergies very often. I mean, the vegan culture is growing, which is great, but you still don't see many dessert options on menus. So I'm trying to work on a little bit of a vegan dessert bar concept and get that going. And I've been doing it for quite some time now, and I'm thinking, I'm not as far as I need to be in this. This needs to be launched now.
Okay, how would you describe your best friend?
I'm trying to think if I have a best friend. When I got married, I couldn't decide who would be my best man. So I had two, and one of them was a university friend. And I think probably, I'm hoping the other one's not going to listen to the video, but I think probably he would be my best friend if I had to choose one. My best friend, I mean, he's an old friend. We don't see each other very often because we live in different towns, but we have a connection. And he's a bit accident prone. He's loyal. Things go wrong around him, but not in a bad way, but in a sort of comic way. But he takes things in his stride, and his daughter is my goddaughter, and my son is his godson. So we have a connection now through, as well as being very old friends from university, but we have a connection with each of our children. Yeah. What about you? Who's your best friend, and how would you describe them?
I think I also have the same challenge as you, so I have two best friends. Like, I think I could say that, but one of them lives in another country. She just moved out the country that I am in right now. I'm trying to not give the name, but she's just like so supportive, and like whatever you tell her, she never judges you, you know, like I feel like I don't need to hide anything from her, because like it's judgment free zone when I'm with her.
We hope you all enjoyed that behind the scenes extra footage that you weren't able to see. So that's it for season 1. Stay tuned for season 2. We'll be updating you on our Instagram page when that will be launching. So make sure to follow so that you can get that notification and follow along to see who participant 11 is and where else in the world we get to as we continue on with this chain. So we'll see you in the next season, and thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye.